Throughout this series of tutorials, we have seen many different techniques and many different tools which can aid your graphical design. Now, in this tutorial, we'll have a look at some of the 3D tools used to create some of the 3D graphical designs. I'm still going to use some of the techniques and tools we have already seen in the previous tutorials, but now I'm going to blend them in together with some of the 3D tools available in CorelDRAW X6 to create some sort of a 3D object, text, and so on. So most of the tools I'll be using once again are located on the left hand side in this menu here, and we can see some dockers on the right hand side which I'll be using as well. Once again, to activate the dockers, we'll go to Window, Dockers, and then select the appropriate docker we wish to display. Okay, so in this tutorial we'll be creating something that looks like this. This is some sort of a logo for a company called Ziki or Zyki. So basically we have the three dimensions here. We have the letter Z coming out of the page. We have some sort of a wall going on an angle, and also we have the Ziki or Zyki here displayed as well with some reflections. So basically we'll be using the 3D tools to get this 3D illusion here for this particular logo. Alright, so first things first, the first thing I would like to do is to actually write the letter Z here. Now I'll highlight it and I'll make it bold. I'll change the font size to, well, let's go maybe to 170, like so, and I'll actually position it here. And of course we can change the font as well, so that's pretty cool. I like it like that. Maybe just make it a bit bigger. Of course I can make it bigger by changing the font here, or I can do it manually like so. So basically what we like to do is make this letter Z pop out of the page. So we're gonna add third dimension. Currently it's in 2 dimensions. So basically what we need to do to actually achieve that, we will add or apply an effect called Extrude using the Extrude tool. Now when we click on it, we can just click on the letter and actually apply the Extrude tool manually, or if we go here we'll find the presets. Now here you will find many different presets that you can apply to your object, and right there you'll find the actual live preview. So we'll actually go with bottom. So now it has actually created that third dimension, or basically this is just a shade that's actually representing the third dimension. So first of all, what I like to do is use this slider to make it a lot smaller, because I don't need to be that deep. Okay, that's pretty good. Now what I would like to do is actually go up here, and here we'll find some different menus. So first of all, let's click on this one here. This one here is actually the rotation one. So basically what we are presented here with is the actual visual representation of our image, of our object, which in this case is represented as the number 3. Now you can see that my cursor changes to a little hand. So if I click on it and actually hold it, I can actually move my mouse around, and this will actually change the angle of our rotation. So I can change it like this. I can go 360 and do anything actually I want to actually select the angle that I need. Now here you will find the reset button. So once you click on it, it goes back to the reset, so you can work on it again. And here you will find the coordinates. Now this is a more precise way of actually specifying the coordinates in which you would like your image to be rotated. So for example, I want this to be 0 and I want to be this 0. So basically I have no rotation in the Y and the Z direction. I have only rotation in the X direction, which is -14, because we are going backwards and making this bit here stand out. So I can change this to be any other number using those little arrows here, or I can simply type in the value that I'm after. So let's go with -13 maybe. Okay, so basically we can do it from here, but also if we have selected this extrude tool, and if we double click on the image, we'll get this little circle with some arrows or triangles around it. What those triangles do is actually you can rotate your image without actually changing the angle. So you can rotate the full circle of 360. Also, what you can do is anywhere in the circle, not outside of the circle, anywhere in the circle you can click, you can change your angle as well. So basically this is a more manual way of changing the angle and the rotation of our object. In our case it's our ladder. So basically I'll just go back, I'll actually reset it altogether. What I like to do is I like to do it from here because I can visually actually get to around what I'm looking for, and then I can be more precise and actually change the numbers and change the numbers here and change the angle as well to what I actually wanted and needed to be. So for our purpose we'll go with -14 for example. Alright, the next thing I would like to do to my object is actually I would like to go up here, and here I'll find some colors. Now if I click here I'll be presented with 3 options, so I can have either a object fill, or I can use a solid fill color, or I can use 2 colors for shading and so on. If I select 2 colors, straight away I'll find that my foreground and background as a column has actually been changed. I can choose the colors here, but before I do that I would like to set up my lighting. Here you can set the lighting that's being applied to your object. There's actually 3 lights that you can apply, and you can see that light number 2 and number 3 have been applied to my object currently. If you want to put another light, you just click on the light that hasn't been selected, so for example light number 1 here, or to deselect it just click on the little light bulb and they will be removed. So let's see what actually this does. So let's see, for example we'll just use 1 light. Now the thing here is to see this as your object. So if you're taking a photo of an object, so this is your object, and these lights are actually represent your sun. So if your sun is behind your object, you're going to get a more darker color, and if your sun is in front of your object is going to appear a bit more, well actually a lot more brighter. If you apply it once again to the back, it will appear a lot darker, so this side here will appear a lot darker and this side here will appear a lot brighter, and if you put it in front it will be a lot lighter, like so. And also you can change the intensity of your lighting, so we can apply 1, 2, 3 different sorts of lights, 3 different suns if you would, and by combining those we can achieve some pretty good effects, like so. And once again we can apply the intensity of our light. But however, for this project, for this design, I'm not going to use any of the lights, so I will turn them all off and I'll go back to my colors. I will apply 2 colors. I will apply 2 blue colors, so a darker blue, which actually get to be in the foreground, and a lighter blue which will be in the background. So there it is, and I can actually close this now. And let's zoom in and have a look. So basically we can see the 2 colors. We can see the darker color at the bottom and the lighter color at the top, and then gradually it changes from darker to lighter color. So this is pretty cool and I'm pretty happy with this. So the next thing I would like to apply to this is to actually change these bits here a bit. So basically we'll get one point where we think our sort of light is, and we will change this accordingly. Now to do that, first of all we need to right click on the image and then we'll have to break it apart. Alright, once we've done this, what actually happened, we have 2 objects. We have our original object which we started with, the letter Z, and we have the object that we have been working on. Basically what this actually is the bottom layer of our letter Z. So imagine if I just rotated this for this object here, if I rotated it for 180, now this layer, the blue layer we can see here, will be the back layer, and this will be the front layer. Now because we are going to apply some transparencies, we do not want this to be there. We do not want it to be shown, so therefore we'll just delete it. Alright, now working with this, what we need to do is we need to break it all apart, or actually ungroup it. Now what we have done now is this letter Z or any other letter or object is made up of smaller objects. So we can see here that we have 1, 2, 3, 4 different objects. So basically we can just move them apart. This is the outline of this object here, and because it has no color it cannot be seen, but if I apply any color to it we can see it, and actually we'll just apply the outline. So this is basically the outline of this object here, as we can see. So this belongs to that, so I'll just move it back, and the same goes for this object here. This is the outline, and this is our actual object, which I can move like so. So we'll quickly undo that, and the same applies for this object here. So let's go ahead now and apply some transparencies to our objects. First of all, let's choose this object here. Now we have applied transparency before and it's no different here anyway. So we'll just do like this, we'll click on it, drag it and drop it, and we will get some sort of a transparency. Now remember that this is the lighter color, so I'll make it blue, and the black color being the darker color, we'll make it black. So we'll flip it around and we'll get that nice transparency, nice shading here like that. Of course we can move our slider to make it a bit more darker or brighter. So we have applied some transparency here. We'll go and apply transparency here and here as well, but before we do that I'll actually select our foreground, as I call it, our letter Z, and show you what happens when we try to apply the transparency to this object. Straight away, applying a transparency to this object will mean that the object in the background or the objects in the background will be shown, and this is something that we do not want. So we cannot apply the actual transparency to our foreground unless we actually go and cut off these little bits here so they will not show. But this is something that we are not after, and therefore I will not do that. For the foreground, what I will do is actually I will apply a fill. So I'll go to fountain fill and I will choose two colors or color blend, but actually I will go with custom. And what I will do is actually, my idea is to make this bottom here a bit more lighter, and at the top we'll have a bit more darker. And what I can do is actually we'll change this to black and we'll change this to blue. Alright, so now I have that a bit more bluish color here, and as we move down the Z axis we'll get the black color. So basically what we're trying to achieve is saying that our sun or our source of light is here, and therefore as we move away our color is going to become a bit more darker. Of course, because here there's a shade from this portion of the picture of our object, there is going to be a darker color, and these edges here will be at a lighter color. Now I'll quickly apply the transparencies here and here. Alright, so I went ahead and applied transparencies to this bit here and this bit here, the same way we applied it to here, and you can see that if our source of light is down here somewhere, this bit here will be more visible as it will be more bright actually. This bit here will get a bit of light as well, however this bit here will be in shade because there is this part of this object here. Same applies to this bit here, and of course as we move away in the X axis our color will get a bit more darker. So basically this is how we'll create our letter Z for our project. Right, so the next thing I would like to do is actually I would like to, well, I call it to give more personality to this letter, so it does not look like any normal letter. So we'll give some personality. So there's basically two ways to do that. The first one is to change the perspective of this letter. In that case we'll achieve actually what we are looking for. Basically we want to shrink a bit this bit here, so the top of the letter Z, and we want to make the bottom of the letter Z a bit more wider. So we get that effect of actually as though the letter Z is coming out of the page even more. So there's the perspective one, but what I like to do even more, which will give me more actual personality as I call it, first what I'll do is actually I'll select everything, I'll right click it and then group everything together. Then I will go and find the envelope tool, and what this will do, it will create a border dashed line around my object so I know which object I'm working with. It will also give me some nodes, and what I'll do is actually I'm not going to use the middle nodes, so I'll just double click on them and delete them, and I'll use the top node. I'll click on it and I'll just drag it in a bit so I get that little effect there that it's actually been shrunk, and I'll do this exactly the same to the right hand, and then I'll move down to the bottom, select it, and then just move it out a bit. The last thing I would like to do is just click here and just make this a bit more round, and I'll do exactly the same on the left one. So there it is. Our letter Z now has some personality, as I call it, and it's not as normal letter. So we can see that this variation of color now here really comes in play, and we can see that this will give that three-dimensional look. And we can see also that the letter Z is not a regular shape letter. So once we've done with this, the main actual object on our document, I would like to insert some more text. Now the company that we're actually working this for, this sort of a logo, is called Ziki or Zyki. So basically I would like my text to be displayed there as well, displaying the name of the company. And what I like to do, because I would like this to sit right on top of my letter Z, what I like to do is actually get the spacing between these letters a bit more bigger. If you remember, if I go to my shape tool, I will get this fishbone, and if I move it to the right, actually what happens is that the actual spacing between the letters is gonna get bigger. So I'll just make it a bit more bigger, like so. Now what I like to do is I would like to make sure that my Ziggy's or Zygi text is sitting right in the middle, right across actually the letter Z, the top of the letter Z, which in this case is what is happening. Now I would like to create a reflection of this word Ziggy or Zygi right here at the top of our letter. So this will once again give that 3D look. So to do that, I will select it, and I will use the technique I have described many times during this video series. I will hold the control button and I will left click on the node. I will go down, and before I let go of my left mouse button, I will click the right hand mouse button, like so. Alright, now we have created that replica or mirrored replica, and I'll just move it down a bit, like so. And after I'm done with that, I'll actually just make it a bit more smaller, so something like this. Actually just a tiny bit bigger, something like this. We'll get the main text a bit more down. Alright, so like I said, this is our main text, so let's for now change it and give it some green color, for example. And what we'll do with the reflection, we'll leave it as black, or actually we'll change it to some grayish color, something like that. And then we will apply the transparency to this text as well. The procedure is exactly the same. And so I'm pretty happy with that. Now we'd like to change the actual fill of my Ziki. So what I would like to do, I would like to use one of these colors here. I will use the eyedropper tool and select which color I want. So I'll probably go with something, since it's up here and since it's supposed to be in the Y direction and this is in now Z, I'll put you something like this, and then I'll just move over my text and just click on it, and it will change the color automatically to this color here. Alright, so the next thing and the last thing I would like to add is some sort of a background like we had in this image here. Alright, to do so, I will, well, first of all, let's make this lettering a bit bigger so it stands out a bit more, something like that. There we go. So I will simply create a square here like so. I will give it some color, so let's go with black for now. I will move it back, so shift page down, we'll move it back. And then what I would like to do is I would like to right click on it and go convert to curves. Then I will go and pick my shape tool, just make this a bit smaller, and I will move these edges here. Alright, the idea is to make the right hand side appear a bit more bigger, and therefore we get that 3D look once again. Alright, so I would like to duplicate this, and I'll just move it here, and once again I'll go ahead and adjust these bits here. So we'll have it here and probably somewhere here, and then once again I will move the layer down, so I'll go shift down, and that's pretty much it. Alright, so let's quickly do a quick recap of this tutorial. So basically we have started just with the letter Z or letter Z here. Then we have applied some of the 3D effects, the Extrude tool we used. Then we have decided that we want to apply the bottom, extrude bottom, so extrude bottom, which we have done. Then we have used the menus and the options available here to us to actually set the lighting, which we did not use for this project. Then we used the color, so we have set two color modes. We have set the darker and the lighter blue colors. And then what we did, we moved to the rotation, so we rotated our image, our letter in that position. We rotated our letter to the position that we wanted, which in this case was only in one direction. Remember, we have only set the -14 in the X direction, almost like getting out of the page. And then we actually went and we decided to break down this object that we had into different objects. And first of all, we had the back layer removed, the black one, if you remember the letter Z. And then the object we were left with, we decided to ungroup, and then we applied some different effects to each one of those. So we had the foreground, which is the letter Z. Then we had this bit here, here and here. All together we had 4 bits of objects that were grouped together to create this object. So we changed the fill on the front, or the front layer. We applied transparency here and here and here, and we applied the transparency in such a way that we can create this shade. So we went from something that looks very light blue to something that looks almost like dark. And once we have done that, what we did, we grouped all the objects together that we ungrouped before, and then we went ahead and we applied the envelope tool. Now we applied the envelope tool in such way, I call it the manual way. So remember I said we give it a bit more personality, and if you look here we can almost see that this letter Z is almost bending right here. So that's what achieved with this tool called the envelope, and we did it manually. At the end we have just inserted some letters here. And we then decided to actually create this reflection here and apply some, of course, transparency to it as well. At the end, and the last thing we did was that we inserted these squares here, which currently are black, and we can change them to pretty much any color, like so, to add a bit more, first of all, color, and then to add a bit more of that illusion that letter Z is coming out of the page. So that's pretty much it for this tutorial. We have seen how to use a couple of new tools and how to apply some new effects to our design.